don't speak Vietnamese, I'm sorry. Just very quickly, we haven't started yet, but the first thing I'm going to be interested in is who are you? And to help me, I would like you to choose one name that you would like me to call you, and write this small piece of paper, write your name on there, and just fold it up into a triangle so I can call you by name, if that's okay. Just one name. You can make it up, that's okay.
Even smaller
Good afternoon, everybody. Please welcome to the workshop, Sustainable Ecological Coal. What is it and how do I do it? So as we may know that the application of coal in language teaching and learning is not new, particularly in the context of Vietnam where various government initiatives have focused on technology integration. So today, please join me in welcoming Dr. Paul Mo from University of Queensland, School of Languages and Culture. Paul is here today with us to guide us in answering the question how to make integration of coal sustainable. Okay, so now I give the floor to you, Paul, to introduce yourself and to lead the workshop.
Thank you very much, Sam. Nice to meet you all. Can you please give me a lesson in pronunciation? So just very quickly, your name?
Yeah, my name is
Ni? Nihi? Okay, thank you. Vin, nice to meet you.
My name is Lan.
Lam. I'm going to call you Lan, you know, because of the technology, but I'll try for Lam. I know your name. Khan?
Yeah, we go by the kangaroo. So
Oh, kangaroo. Hey.
yeah.
Didn't imagine you hopping around. Very easy. Carol? And this one, most popular name in Vietnam, I believe, but I still can't pronounce it.
Surname, but this is my first name.
Oh, okay. Different pronunciation to the surname?
Different in the tone, but we have the tone the same.
Yeah, okay. No chance for tones for me, but how do you pronounce it?
Nguyen.
Nguyen? Okay, I'm going to practice that.
Nhung.
Nhung.
Is my name. Yeah.
My name is Mai. My name is Mai.
My. Okay.
My name is Mila.
Vila. Okay, and how do you pronounce that in Vietnamese? Vila?
I don't know.
Water, I need you. Okay, water. Liz? Julie? Pin?
Pin. Pin.
But, okay, Bin. Oh, difficult, you're trying to trick me. And I can't
My
see.
name is Quy, Q-U-Y.
Quy.
Yes, nice to meet
Okay.
you.
Quy, nice to meet you. And we've lost someone. Do you know his name?
I don't know him.
Okay. Okay, so welcome, I believe. So we're going to finish on time, is that right? Yep. Okay, so it's going to be quite quick, I believe, today. 1.5 hours is very short. 1 hour and 20 minutes is even shorter. Okay, we'll forget about names for the moment, maybe later. So we've got, I believe, the way that the tables are set up is unusual, in a Vietnamese classroom, but that's fine, it doesn't matter. What I would like you to do is to talk to each other, and I think no problem, you guys will be okay. So we'll just use table by table. Maybe I might get you guys to turn around and mix with these guys at some point in time. Okay, my name is Paul Moore. I come from Sydney and I live in Brisbane. So it's like a different country. I've been working in computer-assisted language learning for a very, very long time. I started off a very long time ago, before the internet was popular. So 1995, I made my first networked computer lab. And that was the first networked computer lab at my university. So a long time ago. Before that, we used to plug a floppy disk into separate computers. It took a long time. Okay, but we don't need to talk too much about my history. We don't really have much time. But so I taught students who wanted to go to university, pre-university. Then I moved to Japan and I taught students at university. Then I moved to Australia again and taught master's degree students and PhD students. And so I'm going to mention her a few times. So Nat, please, this is one of my first PhD students.
It's an honor for me, to be honest.
And Nat's PhD is so interesting that I'm going to mention it again on Thursday. So if you can access it, it's very close to this topic. I do not know the Vietnamese context very well, but I have had 2 Vietnamese PhD students and 3 Vietnamese students who I'm very close to in terms of their research. So from them, I have learnt about MOET, about Project 2025, which is not Project 2025 anymore. What's it called?
2020, used to be 2020.
It was Project 2020, now it's 2020.
Now it's just the national languages.
That's right, they've changed the name, haven't they? Because maybe it will go forever. We hope it will go forever. Okay. I said I come from Sydney. Yes? How do you pronounce this?
Cow.
Paul? I say cow.
Cow.
Sydney speak. Okay. Sustainable ecological call. What is it? How do I do it? I guess we can guess what many of these words are, but sustainable, what does that mean?
Healthy.
Healthy. Does cal make you healthy? Long lasting? Let's make it simple. You do it again. You try something and you do it again.
Yeah.
Okay? Just once is enough. Once again is enough. Ecological. What does ecological mean? Healthy? Natural? So for me, ecological means that natural, it becomes natural.
It is environmentally friendly.
Environmentally friendly?
Yes.
Yeah. So in terms of, maybe in terms of the United Nations sustainable goals, sustainability and ecological kind of come together as a good for the environment. Okay? With ecological call, or CAL, I'm going to change, it's a perspective. It's a perspective on language learning. And it's a perspective that's beyond our mind. Okay? So in ecological language learning, in ecological call, we talk about people, not students, not language learners, but people. We talk about relationships or relations between people. We talk about context. Context is very, very important. And we talk about layers of context, so micro context, meso context, macro context, and even exo systems, exo context, outside. Okay, so for me, and for my interest in Vietnam, including working with Zhang, we talk about the classroom, the institution, the society, and we talk about classrooms outside the classroom. So for me, for my research that I'm interested in, the classroom is a university. A university classroom where we teach language teachers. What about you? I need to know something about you today. So let's just think about that for the moment. Okay, so just to remind me, I wrote some notes. So my aim is for you to explore your context from an ecological perspective. This is my aim for you. I want to know about your perspective. What's your language learning theory? What's your theory of language learning? What do you think about standards? Okay, I'm going to ask you that later. But what I want, this is for me because I'm selfish, is I want to hear your stories. So by the end of today, for me, I want to hear your story about using technology for language learning. And I want to hear about when you failed. I'll tell you about when I failed as well. So I want to talk about a perspective on failure as well in language learning using technology. Okay, first thing I want to do is test you. How does that feel?
Nervous.
So, can I get you to go to this tablet? It will take 3 minutes. Okay, when you go to, is it okay? You can find the Padlet?
Yes.
Couldn't see the QR.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Sorry.
There we go. Okay, when you go to Padlet, please click on a quick survey, 3 minutes, about your competence at technology. Loading.
Yeah. Oh, but I'm using 4G. I'll try the Wi-Fi.
Okay. Oh, okay. Two minutes. When you're finished, please click Done down the bottom. so just waiting for everyone to finish. Okay, can I just get everybody to click on done? Later you can try again if you like. So we've got 15 people who have responded. Yep. So this is when I say I'm not so good at this. This is okay, this is great, this is good. Yep. So you can see that most people are around the middle. Some people think they're not so confident. Yeah? That's okay. But really, there's one main reason I asked you to do this test of your competence. And that is to answer this question. If you go back to the Padlet 1A, and you answer this question. How did you feel? When you were answering the questions? So if you felt happy, you thought it was okay, please click on completely pleased. If you felt a little bit positive, click on kind of positive, or a little bit negative, or completely unhappy. How did you feel doing this? Okay, I'm only logged in on my computer, so I'm just going to walk around and show you the results. See?
77, sorry.
So
Completely.
7% are completely pleased, 46, 44, 0.
We can actually see the
Oh, you can see it? I just can't see it on my one. Okay, so that's technology for you. We can call that a failure. Okay, so I use the word standards. I use the word competence. And I use the word test. Yeah? Generally, if we talk about standards, competence, and test, I think we all feel a bit scared. Okay? So today, with this idea of an ecological perspective, I want you to think outside your own perspective. So standards, does anyone recognise these questions that you did? No, I'm sure you do. Where do the questions come from about technology standards?
The technology standards by
Yeah.
teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard of TESOL International,
Yes.
which is an American association? Yeah? So TESOL International created TESOL Technology Standards in 2008. These standards were created to help teachers. But it feels like a test, right?
Yeah.
So what you want to do is try and forget this is a test and think about the people who created those standards. There was a group of about 8 people who developed these standards. Does anyone, apart from that, recognise this person? He's a friendly old man. Right?
Oh,
Well, okay. We're all friendly old men. Mature. He's a bit older now than he was when we took this photo. He's retired. He's from Stanford University in America. And he's one of the best known people in computer-assisted language learning. Does anyone, apart from that, know who he is? I guess maybe you know as well. No? Have you heard the name? Well, that you can tell me.
Hubbard.
Phil Hubbard. Okay, he's very, very well known. His name is Phil Hubbard. He's friendly, he's a really nice guy. Okay? And he doesn't want people to think of standards as a form of punishment. So if you look at the questions again, we don't need to look at them now, but if you look at the questions again, they're about helping us think about how we feel about technology. And this idea of feelings, remember I spoke about people? It's not just about our brains, it's about how we feel. So how do you feel about it? If you feel bad about technology, you won't use it. If we feel bad about technology, we won't use it. If we fail at technology sometimes, maybe we won't use it again. That's not my perspective. I've already failed once today. I hope I fail many more times. But the idea that we want to finish with is that failure is a good thing. So long as you don't fail forever, I guess. But, okay, so I'm going to jump back to my slides, away from friendly Phil. I won't talk about the standards too much, but there are lots of standards. We've got the International Society for Technology in Education. We've got the ones that we did today, can-do statements from Phil Hubbard. We've got the American Council for the Teaching of Foreign Languages. We've got the original TESOL standards framework. ICT for LT, Information and Communications Technologies for Language Teachers. This one, TPAC. Everyone knows TPAC. It's very popular. Why? Why is it so popular? UNESCO. UNESCO has standards for everything. And then we've got JB Song, Korean researcher based in my hometown, on digital technology framework, really for web-based language learning. Okay, how do we choose? Well, you don't have to. Really, you don't need standards. You just need an idea about these standards are to help me, not to punish me. So if you think about Phil Hubbard, when he helped design TESOL technology standards, it was bottom up. He wanted to help teachers help themselves. What about Moet? So on your context, look at this piece of paper that I've given you. When we talk about contexts, Vygotsky, have you heard the name Vygotsky? I hope so. Sociocultural theory. He said this about context: it's the most important thing. So if I come from America, if my name is Phil Hubbard, and I come to Vietnam, and I say, these are my standards, you should use them, Phil would not say that. He would say, these are my standards that I developed in America. I want them to be helpful in Vietnam. Are they helpful in Vietnam? So it's your context. Are they good for your context? If they're not good, if they are good, what's not good? And he would say, please change them. Change them for yourself. Okay, so Vygotsky said this, that context is central to learning, to language learning, to computer-assisted language learning. Okay, let's make sense of, it looks like a face, doesn't it? A strange face. Like a bear, like a frog. I don't know, it looks a bit weird. Okay, this is your micro context. This is your middle level, meso context. This is your macro context. So easy one first. The macro context is Vietnam. In Vietnam we have Project 20, what's it called? National Languages Project. So you can put Moet. At the national level, Moet is the most important thing, I think. Is that right? If you're not from Vietnam, just your own national government or government agency, educational agency that affects you. Okay. Easy. So that's the macro. Let's forget about these ones for the moment. So that's the macro level. Everything is inside the cultural, technological, financial, linguistic context of your country, or I should say contexts of your country. Okay, so that's macro. Meso. For today, let's talk about the institution. What's the institution that you're working? So can I get you to fill that in? For this one, the classroom. What is your classroom? So for me, my classroom is, my students are Master of Applied Linguistics teachers. Okay? These ones, you can see there's two shapes that look like eyes. This is a micro and a meso context. We call it an exo context because it's outside. It's outside, but it's related. For example, my students are language teachers. Their exo context is where they teach. Okay? So for example, with Zhang, we are looking at student teachers in Vietnam. For them, maybe it's not just where they teach, but where they will teach. So if my government wants me to teach with technology, my institution wants me to teach with technology, I want to teach with technology. I want my students to teach with technology. Okay? So for you, for your current context, or your current context, please write macro, meso, micro, exo context. if you want to talk specifically, the interesting is the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So I can only just influencer or influential factors.
Yes. So these ones, these actually belong to they're part of the macro context, but these ones are other micro contexts that are related to this. So for me, teachers, students will be teachers in these other contexts.
So I can understand the science is a whole body.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, you too. Oh yes, that's like when I said from Australia, they think Austria. That's like cashews. Yeah, that's like that's a bit different. Yeah. Okay, so the room is not so big. What I would like you to do before we move on to technology is to share your context with the people at the table, just very quickly. So you guys, when you know each other, yeah, maybe turn around. What is your macro, meso, micro context, and are there other exo contexts there? Just talk to the people in your table. What's your
Visa. The same country.
Good luck. Maybe you can tell us what technology So you all work together.
So they could take the classified industry for the whole Community State.
So, which institution?
Either Vietnam or
Three of us are from the university, and she's from another.
Dr. Moore,
Oh, yeah, so that's some of these people over here. Okay. And do you all teach English? And when your students graduate, what will they do?
In one case, we expected the English or the Vietnamese learn English. Here they can work in some company.
Yeah, okay. Great, thanks. So that's similar for you guys? Different? So what about you?
When they learn,
Yeah.
we recommend you to stay at the
Same context.
but we don't know whether they go into work, they will learn, actually they will also communicate with. So we expected that they can use in the reality of the language when they go out to work. It's some certain I mean, the minor macro, the minor in the macro, and all the copying. We are globalized in some way. So depending on the macro content, the outside of the quality, you
English majors.
Okay. Not finished? Two. One more minute. I'll go half with it.
Yeah, but it's like a different test. So for English department, it has to be the same one. But for other majors like business.
Okay, that's 2 minutes. I know that's a lot. Okay, everyone, could I have your attention, please? This is where so you've been telling each other stories about your context, yeah? A little bit. So I'm interested in the power of stories. In fact, some of my PhD students do their research as stories. It's called narrative inquiry. And for me, it's really, really interesting because you hear straight from the micro context. And you'll hear me on Thursday talk about those stories are really important for the people at the top. They're stories of success, stories of failure, but they're contextualized stories. Now, but before you tell me, and your stories are about technology in teaching. I was going to say technology in language teaching, but not everybody is a language teacher in the group. So let's say technology in teaching. Before we do that, I want to talk about principles. We're going to go back very quickly. Principles for sustainable call or CAL integration. Principles for using technology for language learning, or really technology for learning. So this is from Paul Gruber from the University of Melbourne, recently retired. He says that technology integration should be theory-based. How do you feel about that? Nervous? Ooh, very. It should be sustainable, collegial, innovative, aligned. None of these is really difficult, but let's listen to what they say. It should draw on relevant second language acquisition, computer-assisted language learning, principles and concepts. Not so much theory. Technology is a tool. You don't really need a theory for the tool. Really, the theory is about language learning. So my question for you is, what's your theory? Forget about the word theory. Theory is just, what do you think? What's the best way to teach a language using technology? Or just what's the best way to teach a language? We all have different ideas. For me, this idea of an ecological perspective is a theory. And the theory is stories from the micro context are important. Other people talk about SLA theory, which has all these hypotheses. Maybe you know them, maybe some people know them, some people don't. Input hypothesis, noticing hypothesis, output hypothesis, etc., etc. Okay, but we all, if you learn to be a language teacher at university, you get lots and lots of ideas, but what's the best way to teach a language? Part of it comes from me. What do I think? The other part is, what did my teachers do? And the third part is, what does the research literature say? All of it is kind of important, but really, what do you do in the classroom and why do you do it? What do you think is best? Okay, that's all you need to know. Think about theory. Hubbard talks about evaluating teacher context. He talks about, forget about the rest, he talks about teacher fit, learner fit. Teacher fit is your theory. How is it best, how do we best teach a language? This is friendly old man, Hubbard, Phil Hubbard. Learner fit, what do my students need? So some people, your students will be language teachers. Some people, your students will be in another area. What do they need? One of my PhD students just finished her thesis on English for specific purposes. ESP, English for specific purposes, for agricultural workers in Chile. What do they need? What do they do now? What do they need? Okay, teacher fit, learner fit. What do you think? What do your students need? Carol Chappell, this is her theory based on second language acquisition, input, output, processing hypotheses. Okay, so it's very SLA focused, but she says the context is important. Sustainable, here we go, collegial and aligned. So sustainable call from Blind's perspective includes collegial and aligned. But let's just say, sustainable technology use, did you do it again? That's all I want to hear about. Normalization. This is why we don't have a theory of computer-assisted language learning, because when the technology disappears, it's normalized as a part of normal society. For example, we do actually say, this is a very old phone. What do you call this? Mobile phone? Same as me. Smartphone. In Japan they call it a keitai, which means carry something. I can't remember what the other one is. So if you lose your phone, how do you feel? It's like losing your heart, isn't it? it's not just technology, it's part of us, right? So it's normalised, we always do them a lot of the time, yeah? So the technology disappears, so it really should just be a theory of language now. Collegial. Oh, this is still. Collegial. This is difficult. Do you work with somebody else? If you try something with technology and it fails, or if you try something with technology and it works, do you tell someone about it? Is there someone you can talk to about your experience? These are the people who are good for your technology use. So collegial, it should be. You should be able to help each other. In Chile, this is from one of my PhD students, there's a program by the MOE, Ministry of Education. It's like Facebook for teachers across the whole of Chile. So you can share ideas there. And this is where Tiare, my student, got her participants for her research from this. And then, this is from some other research that we've done recently in Vietnam. My teacher, this is a student teacher in a micro context, a student teacher. My teacher invited me and other students to join in one site to share materials, share videos and pages. So in other words, the teacher created a community with her students so they can still communicate after the students graduate about technology use. Okay, so it's important to have friends. Innovative. What's your technology mindset? Okay, if something doesn't work, what do you do? Do you try again, or do you think, oh, that's scary and stop? Or is it different in different situations? What's your relationship with technology? So this is where we say innovative. Actively, so being creative involves risk-taking and it involves failure, which is important. Failures are a necessary part of innovation, of integration. Aligned institution. What does my institution want me to do? For example, I heard someone talking about LMS. What's an LMS? Learning Management System. In my university, we use Blackboard. Heard of that? It's horrible. But it's okay. But then it's horrible again. I have to use it. Because my institution pays lots and lots of money.
Yeah.
So I have to use it. And my institution says, don't be creative. They say, it must look like this. So when students change from this class to that class to that class, they're not confused. They don't say, don't be creative. Actually, in fact, my university, its motto is create change. So don't quote me on that. LMS, what LMS do you use? Google? Google Plus?
Moodle.
Oh, Moodle. Moodle is an Australian company. I used Moodle a long time ago. Yeah, anything else?
We were just talking about Teams, so Google Classroom.
Yeah, Google Classroom, Teams, which are both free, is that right?
We have institutional.
Yeah, so institutional one is expensive for the institution. So my university create change, right? So we do get lots of change. We've got Blackboard. We use Teams. We don't use Google Classrooms. We use Inspira. You heard of Inspira? We use Padlet as an institution, institutional Padlet. Do you use ChatGPT?
Yes.
Free?
Individual account.
Yeah, for personal accounts, we just use it for personal accounts.
Yeah, okay,
Not
so,
for institutional.
okay, we're going to run out of time, but The power of stories. So those can you remember this? Theory-based, what do you think? Sustainable, will you do it again? Did you do it again? Collegial, did you talk to anyone about it? Innovative, did you fail? Aligned, did your institution make you do it? And theory-based, again, what do you think about learning or about language? So all I want you to do, I want you to think of a story, but I just want the title of your story. Okay? So for me, so if you look at the Padlet, the title of your story is just ask, so forget, don't put ask me about, so for Paul, it's ask me about GPT-3, 3.5, 4.
Very current.
Ask me about it. Do you want to hear about it? Ask me later. If you want, you can also ask me about dark mode, digital workspace, Zoom, natural reader, or linguistic landscapes. Okay, so what I want is there's it's about 15, 20 people in the room. I want this to go along here. So all you need to do is to write, let me remember how to do this. If you click here and write add post after and put add post after and put, so for me it was GPT. Think of a more interesting title if you like. And then put, oops, and down here put the name that you wrote. Okay? GPT Paul. I'll delete that. So I want you to take 5 minutes, think about a story. Do you want to hear my story?
Yes.
ChatGPT. Who has used ChatGPT? Okay. Which version did you use?
3.5.
3.5?
I'm waiting list for
4?
GPT-4.
Oh, you have lots of money. 4 is really expensive. Well, for me it's expensive. $20 American a month for GPT-4. GPT-3 is the original version. So GPT-3 was publicly available when? November last year, so 1 year ago. Okay, so I went to a workshop at my university about GPT-3, and the guy doing the workshop said, "This is fantastic." So I thought, okay, I have to use it. So I created an assignment for my students. Instead of write something, it's here's something that ChatGPT did. Use it if you want to fail. Or think about what's good and what's bad about ChatGPT and then rewrite your own version. Okay? So I created it using GPT-3. Then very quickly, 3.5 came out, which is better than 3. The reason you pay $20 American for GPT-4 is because GPT 3.5 is down here, GPT 3 is down here, GPT 3.5 is here, GPT 4 is halfway to the moon. It's completely different, right? It's much better. So, yeah?
just a curious question, like, just of the quality of the questions are like the speed or anything that makes ChatGPT 4 different from 3.5?
Well, I haven't used. Okay, so both 3 and 3.5 use the internet up until 2021,
The data.
right? But GPT-4, I believe, is much more current.
It can analyze the picture and it can analyze some of the document and to make it very in within each document on the database, the big database.
Yeah,
It
so
depends on
it's
how
got there's a GPT workshop happening.
Right.
Let's go. Okay. So GPT-3 and 3.5 and probably 4 as well, they have these things called hallucinations. Hallucination is basically a technical term which means if GPT doesn't know, it makes it up. So that's my story. There's more to the story, but okay, what's your story? You've got 5 minutes to come up with a title for your story and put it on. Please make sure you put your name as well. Okay, 3 more minutes and then we'll hear some stories. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's difficult to think of a title, huh?
Could I see the QR code again? Sorry, could I see the QR code again? Sorry, I just lost this again. Could I see?
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Completely understand.
Technological failure. Thank you.
Okay, so I spoke about the power of stories, yeah? Did I? Can't remember? The title of the slide was The Power of Stories. If you think, what about the power of titles for stories? If you look at the titles up here, which one do you want to hear first? I know which one I want to hear first. Can I choose? Oh,
Right. I think the one that say love what I dislike.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
No, tell me.
Yeah. Because you know, the title of your presentation is about sustainable, and I link with myself for my belief. I believe that whatever we do, we need to do it with love.
Yeah.
As having love, we can do it sustainably. Yes, for technology, at first I didn't like technology. And until now, sometimes I dislike it.
Yeah.
But I learned to love it so that I can use it for my teaching. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Love what I dislike. So I can love you, but I don't have to like you. Okay, thanks. Next one. I know which one.
I
Yeah.
want to hear from Brad.
Pratt. Which one?
For me, down corner.
Oh, Pratt. So pronunciation. Yeah.
Yeah, you know it, right?
I looked it up.
Okay, so the story just one experience I had with my student. I found out about the app. Here is a computer software that helps us analyze the speech. We can record the speech, and then there's an image of up and down, it's like a heartbeat, and then you can see like the length of your speech and also the intonation up and down. And when I found out about the app here from an English teachers on YouTube, and I was so excited about it. And then the next day, because I taught pronunciation in the lab, computer lab, so each student can have one computer and internet access. So I introduced the app to them with the expectation that they can analyze their own speech and then see visually instead of listening to teachers' feedback. Now
Right.
they look at the image. It was both a success and failure. It was success. It was a success because the students seemed very interested in that kind of app. But it was also a failure because it took the whole kind of like more than 1 hour for me to kind of give instructions on how to install the app and how to use it.
That's a really, really, really important point. Thank you very much for sharing the story. Back in 1999, before you were born, 1999, there was a paper about training people to use technology in the classroom. Step 1, 25% of the class is lost. Step 2, 50%. Okay, so Leanne, whose story do you want to hear? Let me show you all of them.
And then like learning English in the village school.
Yeah, me too. So who's this? Yep.
I come from a village.
Yes.
And it is my story. I started to learn some foreign language at the grade 10, and it was not English, it is a Russian language.
Yep.
And I want to share that sometimes I share my stories with my students because most of my students come from villages, and almost of them are not good at English. So I want to tell a story to inspire them. And I know that in the village, the conditions for learning and all the things to facilitate their learning conditions are really good. And even now, I see that almost the teacher at the village school, they just spend 2 or 3 or 4 years learning English, and they come to a village school to teach students. And for the learner, almost of them come from the farming families, so they do not have good conditions for learning as well, and they have to spend most of the time outside the classroom. They have to spend the time working in the fields and helping their parents. It means that they do not have much time for learning, and their interest to foreign language learning is not very good as well. So
Yes.
how to inspire their interest and how to attract them to the class, and how to help them to learn English to pass first examination.
Yes. Yeah.
At the moment, it requires a lot of trials and a lot of enthusiasm from the teachers. So how to help the students to learn English, not really well, but acceptably to pass the examinations. is the big problems that both the teachers and learners have to cope with and to deal with and to overcome.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. That's a beautiful story. Yeah. And that's the story that kind of story, you kind of think, well, the policymakers at Moet would like to hear that and many other stories as well. Time for one more story. So who would you like to hear, Mike?
I want to hear the story about being chat box. A lot of people and a lot of teachers now use being a chat box and
Which one's that?
yes, and being AI, the assistant.
By Julie. Being AI
Being
images by Julie.
Live.
You can scroll up.
You scroll down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Being AI images. Yep. Julie, where are you?
So, this is a website I find in a work of teacher of linguistics. So, I use it to create the image that match to the content of our handout for my students
Yeah.
in class. So, somewhat it can relevant, but many image is too complex and have many details, the irrelevant details.
Yeah.
So to create a relevant images, you have to write the
Prompt.
no, but give some suggestion the detailed description for this image.
Yeah.
I can create any images for my announcement. I have already.
Okay, that's a great story too. So thank you very much, Julie. You know, they say that AI with the new AI and artificial general intelligence, that they say that some jobs will disappear and new jobs will come. And one of the jobs that is advertised is prompt engineer. The person who writes really good prompts for generative AI. So we've got maybe 1 minute to go, and there's just a couple of things that I want to say. Something that I didn't, oh, that's my keynote, I'll say that tomorrow. Something that I didn't say at the start is important for now, I think. The first thing is technology makes a difference. So it's important to talk about technology. And the second thing is pedagogy first. There's this tug of war between technology and pedagogy. Technology, pedagogy. There's a quote up here which says, a primary focus on technological tools has been taken at the cost of a pedagogical focus on the sustainable integration of technologies into curricula. This is a story about, you can see from the name, this is a story about Vietnam. And I would like to thank my former PhD student, Nat, for this quote, which comes from her PhD. And actually, no, it's from your publication from your PhD, which you can see that we have cited in a publication this year. That's one thing. The next thing I want to say, maybe we can drop this. So this relates to Julie's story. If you look at this picture, can you see anything wrong with it? Look at this. Her fingers are like that. Why? It's an AI generated picture. So do you know DALL-E?
Yes.
DALI, which is software like the Bing one that you use. If you go, do you use Padlet?
Yes, yes.
Did you know that Padlet has updated its software? And this is an invitation to you. So if you look at this image, can you see anything strange about that? He's sitting in the water. He's being watched by a bear. This is another generated AI image. If you go into add post and you click on the 3 dots and you say I can't draw, workshop in Vietnam. Takes some time. Does this look like us? Okay, so my point is that there is built into Padlet is something like DALI. It's the old version, so it's not as good as GPT-4 or the 4 version of it. I would like you to invite you. So this is a metaphorical image of ecological computer-assisted language learning. So it put children with mobile phones in forest. So it's imaginative. I'd like to invite you to put your own image in there, and if you would like me to highlight your image in the keynote, I'd be happy to do that as well, but you'd have to give me permission. But there's something for you to play with here. I'll leave this Padlet here after the conference if you want to check it again. But thank you very much for your stories. The very last thing I want to say, apart from technology makes a difference, pedagogy first, right? But that doesn't mean you can't start with technology. So Pratt is good. Generative AI, ChatGPT, GPT 3.5, GPT 4. It's okay to start with technology, but this idea of the 5 principles, what do you think? Do you talk to someone about it? Have you failed? Etc. That's important. And the next thing is important is what's your relationship with the meso level? There are things that the meso level, the people at that, they have to tell you what to do. It's just a part of life in Australia, in Vietnam, in Italy, I guess. Because there's money involved. You have to use this. You have to make good use of it. But it doesn't mean that you can't be creative, and it doesn't mean that the people at this level are not interested in your stories, or the people at this level. One of my other PhD students, in his PhD, he wrote that when Moet designed the proficiency test for language teachers, the principle for their policy was do no harm. In other words, the idea is to help teachers, not to punish teachers. So thank you very much. Please come up and talk to me throughout the conference. And if you want to share some information, please share it on the Padlet as well. Oh, we've already got one.
Alright, so before we wrap up, may I extend a big thank you for everyone for your great participation, enthusiastic and wonderful contributions to the workshop. And the heart of our discussion had focused on sustainability in the development of localized integration of code in language classrooms. And I strongly encourage each of us when reflect on the insights again today and consider how they can be integrated into our everyday language classrooms. So may I extend a very warm thank you to Paul for your wonderful workshop.
Thank you very much, Jim. Thanks very much. And
Thank you. Thank you. So everybody, could you please go down to the front of the backdrop and take the photo group for everybody in the post workshop. Okay? And see you tomorrow in the opening conference ceremony. Thank you.